Hello everybody. So in this quick video, I want to report on MercadoLibre and Nubank's respective Q4s and their end of 2024 earnings. The title is Latin America back? LATAM's back because the numbers look good for both companies. I consider both of these companies to be my sleep well at night stocks, and so that's why per some metric, some may find them expensive, but I find them rather safe, steady Eddie type stocks. So the first one I want to talk about is MercadoLibre. MercadoLibre is of course the Amazon of Latin America. They are much more successful than Amazon over there. They're the number one player in Brazil, in Mexico, in many other locations in that part of the world. 67 million unique active buyers. The gross merchandise volume is showing some large numbers. You can see, for example, for Mexico, you had 30% down to 28% merchandise volume growth. Same for Brazil. Argentina, a little more. You'll see some of this may also be explained by Forex movements. I'll get to that in a second when I talk about Nubank. The items sold per unique buyer is up, so buyers buy more. So there's more buyers, they buy more, but the volume is slowly down because of the law of large numbers, because this business is already getting enormous. This is more than $100 billion business. They are beginning to saturate their market. MercadoLibre also has a fintech. Their fintech has 61 million users. Interesting to note that they offer savings account and investment accounts on the fintech, and they have more than $10.5 billion under management on those accounts. And these $10.5 billion saved on the MercadoLibre platform, are more than enough to cover the issuance of debt that they have in the credit portfolio, because they have $6.5 billion worth of debt issued in their credit portfolio. Some of it's credit cards, some of it's for the merchants, some of it's consumer, all sorts of debt, hoping to make money on the debt. And I want to call your attention to their net interest margin after losses. They make more than 20%, almost 30% in interest rates on this debt. Of course, that's not surprising given that the biggest chunk of that debt is always credit card in every segment. In Q4, you can see it was credit card. I'm sure consumer is just as expensive as credit card, but still, that's an outstanding return on investment on that debt. So I understand why these businesses want to get into the credit business, even if it means having some risk, some repayment risk, because even accounting for that lack of repayment risk, you still achieve 27% rates, and so the business is doing well in my view. They also have a payments platform, and MercadoLibre is becoming a leading payment solution, both on the platform, of course, on mercadolibre.com, the website, you order stuff online, but also off the platform. You can see off the platform, maybe 1/3 of all of the payments are off the platform. So people are accepting MercadoLibre in stores, and typically MercadoLibre, that's something that you're going to find accepted for micro businesses, micro payments, very small payments. And let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the sales. So what's the revenue growth like? What is it looking like? Well, it's looking like in US dollar, the revenue growth is plus 44% in US dollars. So Q4 23 to Q4 24, that's plus 44% for the commerce division, which is still the bigger division. But look at the size of the fintech, right? We have 3.5 billion in Q4 2024 for commerce. We have 2.5 billion for fintech. So fintech is becoming a larger part of the story of MercadoLibre. Fintech is also growing fast, going at 29%. And of course, on this channel, we look at on adjusted EBITDA. Adjusted EBITDA is going to be very close to a margin from operations. It's at 16.67%. Adjusted EBITDA is what I calculated as. And so asking the question, is this stock still cheap? Is the jump warranted? Well, first of all, I think the jump is still warranted. This is a business that's been growing heavily, steadily, consistently. It's performing on all cylinders, all metrics. So yes, I think that increase in price is warranted at 2,300. Would I buy at these levels? No, because I have a full position in this one. But for those interested in my valuation metrics, this is the valuation metrics. I get a 0.42 on this one and a rule of 40 at 37. Now, the reason why I get a 0.42 is because I dropped the forward revenue growth to 22%. I dropped it down to analysts' number. I think analysts will revise that number up. You can see how, for example, for the commerce division, we were plus 44%, plus 29. So, kind of merge those two together, say plus 35% for a total business, that'd be a big drop. Plus 35% to plus 22%, that'd be a big drop. I don't think that business will decelerate this much. So it's all about this number. If you say they're going to grow 30% next year, then you would get an EV over GP over RG number less than of 0.4, and you would get a rule of 40 above 40. So it all depends which revenue growth number you put in this spreadsheet, and that's kind of the main drawback of my spreadsheet, is that you got to be confident in your revenue growth number. I believe 22% here is very conservative. I think they'll do more than that. Moving on to the other stock that I have is Nubank. Nubank is one of the world's largest digital bank platform. In fact, this is so big that I can only think of China. Only point to China as a potential country with bigger digital bank platforms. That's the kind of the only country I can think of that has the super apps, like the WeChats and all of that sort of stuff. Otherwise, I don't see it. Like even in the US, if you look at the Cash App in the US, is 57 million. So the Cash App is the most successful digital app in the US, and it's got 57 million users. So at 114 million users across Latin America, you're talking about a very successful business in Nubank. Now, as far as Nubank, we still have revenue growth quarter over quarter and year over year. It grew 50% year over year, which is outstanding, but only 1.56% quarter over quarter. So I'll get to that in a second. The stock, to me, this is another reaction. I really don't see why the stock should be down or should be up. They missed a little bit on some of their metrics, which is why the stock is down. It's likely another reaction in my view. I want to call your attention to the growth numbers, because this is the important part for me, because you can see when I calculate it on dollars to dollars, I get a plus 1.56 quarter over quarter, which would be alarming. But when you dig deeper into the report, you find out weird things. You're like, okay, well, for example, monthly ARPAC in US dollar went from $11 to $10.70. So that's going down. That's not very good. And when you look at revenue, you say, oh, you calculate it only went up 1.6%. That's not very good, from 29.43 to 29.99. So only up 1.6%. Not very good. Well, look at the number of growth, the growth number for Forex neutral. When you Forex neutralize that number, you realize that the growth has actually accelerated. From Q2 to Q3 2024, they were up 8% on a Forex neutral number. From Q3 to Q4 2024, they were up 9% on a Forex neutral number. Same is true for ARPAC. ARPAC actually went up on a Forex neutral number. And if you look at how Forex neutral is calculated, how these things are calculated, it's typically you take an exchange rate and you set it for the whole year. And the way I look at this, reporting in dollars was very disadvantageous at the end of Q4 2024, because if you look at the end of Q4 2024, that was essentially the peak of the dollar compared to the Brazilian real, which is the main currency used by Nubank. They use other currencies, but that peak was the same throughout. But it was peak optimism. The dollar spiked, and so they had to report on the day of a dollar spike. So my guess is that revenue growth, which appears low at plus 1.5%, a lot of it can be explained because the dollar had peaked at the end of 2024. And I expect when they report Q1, I expect to see a big upside in dollars, because as you can see, the dollar has been depreciating relative to certain Latin America currencies. So that's why I'm not too worried when I look at the FXN numbers. When I look at other metrics for Nubank, I'm happy with what I see. The deposits are up, the interest income is up, the gross profits are up, and the net income is up. So everything I don't care about. I care about a lot of stuff here, net income, whatever, but gross profit is up, and EBITDA would be up if I were to calculate it. But anyways, I'm very happy with all of these numbers being up. I think this stock has nothing wrong. I think this is still a sleep well at night stock, still a steady Eddie stock. And if you're wondering about the valuation for Nubank, this is the number that I'm getting at. I'm getting at a 0.22 and a rule of 40 at 78 for Nubank. So this stock is inexpensive in my view. And SoFi is inexpensive too. So I left the SoFi number, the SoFi valuation right above, so you can compare it with SoFi. You can see I find SoFi cheap too. I find Nubank cheap too, especially for Nubank being a best-in-class company in its sector. So very pleased with the results of both of these LATAM stocks. Happy to own them both. This was not financial advice. This is not investment advice. This is just entertainment, only entertainment. Hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, please follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.